In this video, our group would like to discuss about what is the management environment in Chapter 2.
Hi, my name is NURUL BINTI and my metric number is 050531.
Assalamualaikum, my name is BINTI and my metric number is 057596 from Diploma in Banking. I am going to talk about the definitions of organizational culture and why it's important.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Norsyaza Syahirah binti Ahmad Faizal and my matrix number is 057511. Today I'll be going to show you about how an organizational culture can affect managers. As you know, culture can have many different meanings. Management has also many different ways to be approached. The study does not focus on understanding other cultures, but it shows on how the process of doing business and managing have different effects on culture. So, if you want to know more about how all the managers want to overcome this, let's go to the next video.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is NURUL binti ARIFFUDDin. Matrix number is 058594. And today I will present Chapter 2, the management environment. And I will describe the current issues in organizational
outside of the organization that affect its performance. The company itself, however, does not affect on them. An example might be a change of the ruling elite, regulation, or demographic trend. The external environment plays a major role in shaping managers' action in the specific environment. Managers have to be responsive to customer and supplier while being aware of competitors and public pressure groups. Secondly, the component of external environment can be categorized by two, which is microenvironment and macroenvironment. Microenvironment can be defined as the direct impact producing factors, reason, and force that can be gauged and assessed internally. Here there are 6 examples of microenvironment, which is organization, intermediaries, competitors, customer, market, and supplier. While macro environment can be defined as a range of uncontrollable factors that cannot be checked and governed internally. Here there are 6 examples of macro environment, which is political, economic, technological, global, socio-cultural, and demographic. This is the elaboration of example of macro environment. Technological. The global environment presents both opportunities and challenges for managers deal with cultural, economic, and political differences. Global. The whole area of technology is radically changing the fundamental ways that originalization are structured and the way managers manage. Socio-cultural. Managers must adapt their practices to the changing expectations of the society in which they operate. Political or legal. The political environment influence business and also have a major impact on consumer confidence and spending. Economic. Interest rate, inflation, change in disposable income, stock market fluctuation, and the stage of the general business cycle are some of the economic factors that can affect management. The demographic are part of socio-cultural condition and encompass trends in the physical characteristic of a population such as gender, age, level of education, geographic location, and age. Last but not least, let me explain why the external environment is important to management. External environment was one of the major contributions of the system approach to management, which stressed the need for managers to view their organization as entity of interrelated parts intertwined with the outside world. Managers must perceive the trade opportunities in the external environment and react accordingly. Problem in receiving and using information about the external environment include limited capability, lack of information, superfluous information, and current organizational constraints.
So the second topic that discusses how the environment can influence managers. Environmental factors can be described as an element that can be identified in the environmental, cultural, economic, demographic, physical, technology or political influence growth, operation and continuity of the organization. Environmental factors also can be internal and external to the business. So, basically with the entire world as market and national borders becoming increasingly meaningless, the potential for organization to grow and expand is almost unlimited, and business is increasingly international due to increasing sales and accessory resources. In such circumstance, organizations must learn how to survive and prosper in a global environment that is highly dynamic and unstable. Managers in this setting not only deal with a set of social, economic, legal and political factors in the nation, but with entire different set of these in each country of operation. So now, let's move to the topic. The first dimension is the degree of change. This can be seen when if the components in an organization environment change frequently, we call it a dynamic environment. If change is minimal, we call it a stable one. A stable environment might be one in which there are no new competitors, few technological breakthroughs by current competitors, limited activity by pressure group to influence the organization, and so forth. The second dimension of uncertainty describes the degree of environmental complexity. Degree of complexity refers to the number of components in an organization environment and the extent of the knowledge the organization has about those components. Complexity is also measured in terms of the knowledge an organization needs to have about its environment. Firstly, we should look at an environment that is stable and simple, which we call it cell one, which represent the lowest level of environmental uncertainty. Cell 4 is an environment that is dynamic and complex, represent is the highest. This is the most managerial influence on organizational outcome is greatest in cell 1 and this in cell 4. Because uncertainty is a threat to an organization's effectiveness, managers try to minimize it. Given a choice, managers will prefer to operate in environments such as those in cell 1. However, they rarely have full control over their choice. Most industries today are facing greater dynamic change, making their environments more uncertain. Thus, managers, as a planner, need to consider the environment they currently face, as well as thinking ahead about possible change in the environment, and act accordingly. In a simple, stable environment, a manager may decide to continue duty in the usual way. In a dynamic, complex environment, a manager may want to establish plans to keep the organization ahead of competition or develop new interests in which to operate. So, what can we say is the internal and external environment interact to affect managers and organizations. It is important for the managers to be aware of the diversity and more flexible that they have been in the past. The economic globalization is the inevitable trend in coming years. The manager has to consider both the internal environment and external environment in order to be successful in such global environment.
Organization depend on their environment and their stakeholder as a source of inputs and a recipient of outputs. Goods relationship can lead to organizational outcomes such as improved predictability of environmental changes, more successful innovations, and greater degrees of trust among stakeholder, and greater flexibility in acting to reduce the impact of change. There are 3 ways that the external environmental affects the manager. First, its impact on jobs and employment. Second, impacts the amount of environmental uncertainty, and last is its impacts the nature of stakeholder relationship.
of all team members is known as organization culture. Organization culture included the expectation, experience, ideologies, and values of an organization that guides the behavior of member and expressed in the self-image of member, inner working relationship with the outside world, and future expectation. What is culture? Culture is perceived. It's nothing that could be physical, touch, or seen, but the worker are perceive it on the foundation of what they experience inside the organization. Second, descriptive. It concerns how members are perceived or portrayed the culture, not whether they like it. Third, culture is shared. Even though people may have varied experience at work, at different organization level, they prefer to characterize the culture of the organization in common. Next, we are going to talk about 7 definitions of organizational culture. First, interpretation and attention to information. Not unexpectedly, detailed business are all concerned with meticulous attention to detail. These businesses tend to be in customer-oriented section where such accuracy is valued. Second, outcome orientation. The degree to which manager concentrate on result or outcome rather than on how these outcomes are managed to achieve. Outcome orientation companies are all about performance. Third, people orientation. The degree to which the impact on individual in the company are taken into account by management decision. You would expect the company to care for you. If you work for a people orientation corporate, they respect justice and respectful of right and the dignity of people. Team orientation, the degree to which team rather than individuals are organized around work. In team-oriented companies, workers want to work and cooperate with colleagues do well. Aggressiveness, the degree to which workers are aggressive rather than cooperate and competitive. Although cooperation is valued by some companies, others value aggressive competition. Stability, the degree to which the maintenance of the status quo is emphasized by the organizational decision and action. Employees at a stable company knows precisely who is in charge, who to report to, and what they are supposed to do. Innovation and risk-taking, the degree to which workers are inspired to be innovative and to take risks. People who want opportunity for new goods or services to be developed and encourage innovation, but companies also allow business employees times to focus on their own project. Where do culture come from? The visions of missions or the founder is usually reflected. The founder projects an image of what the organization should be and what its principles are. Because of small size of new organization, founder can also impose the visions of an employee. In addition, the member of the organization create a shared history that binds them into a community and remind them of who we are. How do employees learn their culture? First, organization story. important events of or individuals. Second, corporate rituals, repeating sequences of activity that convey and infers significant organization values and objectives. Third, material symbols, artifacts, facility layouts, how a worker dress, size of offices, materials, benefits provided to manager, and furnishing, and so on. For language, unique acronyms describe words used to describe equipment, key workers, client, vendor, system, and goods.
Okay, this is some of tactics that some of company has used to reflect and improve. Lastly is nurturing and nourishing. So when the company have the higher experienced employee, it will be a good effect in a company value. Second tactic is managers organize all staff ask me anything to discuss about the company problem in the way to achieve company's goal. Third is hackathon tactic that used by managers. This tactic is to solve the problem that faced by the company. This way can add on experience in how to tackle problems and future problem as well by the staff. And lastly is managers embrace social media as part of their commitment to transparency to employees, customer and community, so that a company can link between managers and their employee through a social media too. Next, we go to the explanation about culture affect what employees do. Let's take a look. Strong culture are those in which the key values are deeply held and widely shared, have a greater influence on employees than the weaker culture. When the more employees accept the organization's key value or the greater their commitment to those values, the stronger culture to be. And organizations that have a moderate to strong cultures is a high agreement on what's important, what defines good employee is, what defines good employee behavior, what it takes to get ahead, and so forth. Generally, the stronger a culture becomes, the more it affects what employees do and the way managers plan, organize, lead, and control. Besides that, the organizations with a strong culture also can substitute for the rules and regulations that formally guide employees. Therefore, strong culture also can create predictability, orderliness, and consistency without need for written documentation. So, the stronger an organization's culture, the less managers need to be concerned with developing formal rules and regulations. Next is I'm gonna share with you guys about how does culture affect what managers do. There's two culture values that we can compare, which is ready and fire and ready, fire and. So what's the difference between these two managerial behavior? So let's take a look. An organization should have a culture that values risk taking and quick decisions making to become the best company. Potential hires are judged on how much interest they have shown in getting projects done at other companies. Therefore, company employees are handsomely rewarded if they make profit and production goals because the organization's culture constrains what they can and cannot do, and how they manage is particularly relevant to managers. For example, constraints are rarely explicit and they are not written down or unlikely they will even spoken. So all managers quickly learn what to do and not to do in their organization. This is two differentiation between ready and fire and ready, fire aim. For ready and fire culture, In an organization's manager will study and analyze proposed projects endlessly before committing to them. While ready fire aim, managers take action and then analyze what has been done. On the other hand, an organization's culture supports the belief that profits can be increased by cost cutting and the company's best interests are served by achieving slow but steady increases in quarterly earnings. Instead, managers are unlikely to pursue programs that are innovative, risky, long-term, or expansionary. Besides that, the culture that conveys a basic distrust of employees, managers are likely to use an authoritarian leadership style than a democratic. This is due to the culture establishes for managers appropriate and expected behavior. This is an action at Weingartner and Hammonds, a hotel management firm where company leaders have built a winning workplace culture with 4 characteristics. First is a positive work environment in which managers are encouraged to make employees feel cared for and valued. Second is an employee selection process that encourages managers to focus on selecting the right employees. Third, an employee engagement program that's based on training managers so they have the right skills, knowledge, and experience to nurture an engaging work environment. And lastly is a strengths-based workplace in which managers continually reinforce employees' strengths. This is the managerial decisions affected by the culture. Firstly is planning. The degree of risk that plans should be contained, whether plans should be developed by individuals or teams, the degree of environmental scanning in which management will engage. Secondly is organizing. How much autonomy should be designed into employees' job, whether tasks should be done by individuals or in teams, the degree to which department managers interact with each other. Thirdly is leading. The degree to which managers are concerned with increasing employees' job satisfaction, what leadership styles are appropriate, whether all disagreements, even constructive, should be eliminated, and last but not least is controlling. Whether to impose external controls or to allow employees to control their own action, what criteria should be emphasized in employee performance evaluations, what repercussions will occur from exceeding one's budget. Thank you.
Okay, in this slide, it was an introduction to the current issues. In the business world, not everything was controlled because among them, a negative environmental and issues that can make a problem to the management. Okay, so I will let you know that an example of issues in organizational culture, which is we have different culture. Employees are bored with their work, close communication, no cooperation between them, having conflict, discourage, and injustice between the workers. Okay, first of all, racism is a racial issue that occurs due to dissatisfaction with a certain race, and there is dissatisfaction with that race while working, which cause unwanted problem, and then interferes consistently while working, and different culture is also happen issues in organizational culture. And the problem is same as the races. It's all about the first and the main issues in the races. Next, the current issues in organizational culture is about employees are bored working at the company and generally unhappy because of poor environment of because of other employees are uncomfortable working with others and not being friendly with other workers. And because of that, this situation can cause an issues in organizational culture. Because there was no good cooperation between them, this situation is not comfortable for everyone. No one likes this environment because it's very negative vibe, and everyone can feel down if they are in this situation. And if we in this situation, we will also be down because there is no motivation. Other than that, current issues that happen in organizational culture also because of lost communication with anyone. Lost communication can cause a burden to the organization due to different language and understanding between a country. A lack of communication also can ultimately lead to low morale because ineffective communication can create misunderstanding, misses opportunities, conflicts, the dissemination of misinformation, and mistrust. Employees might just feel overall defeated. Lastly, as we know, if the employees doesn't have a cooperation, it can also cause an issue in organization. No cooperation between employees is one of the cause happen issues in organization. If workers didn't cooperate among them, it can also cause issues, and then colleagues are unwilling to enable to work effectively together in their workplace. It also inevitable wreaks havoc on the productive morale. A lack of cooperation can lead to the resentment, cost of revenues, lost business, and deteriorating workplace culture. In conclusion, the cooperation is important for the organization to make organization culture more organized, so that this culture problem can be solved as best as possible.